Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How in the world are you? This is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation. And we're back at it again, ladies and gentlemen, for another edition, another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. And I'm coming at you live all the way over in Wheaton, Maryland, which is not far from the Washington, D.C. area. Right here in the Prototype Studio. It's great to be here. And it's warm. It's warm. It's nice. If I didn't say it before, I think I will say it again. I think that the worst here, weather-wise, is kind of, over now. We definitely went through our phases of cold weather, the uncomfortable breeze, if you will, and I just felt like, man, this is kind of, this is nice now, and it's great to be here, to be in a situation, in an environment where I'm feeling more warmth. I feel the radiant energy of the sun, getting that vitamin D, and it's great. It's awesome. And I'm just happy to be here in the booth, mic in front of me, headphones in, ready to go, And as always, I'm just really happy and fortunate to be here. I truly am. Anytime that I'm here creating content and just, giving back to you guys and having a good time with it, I really feel blessed. I feel like, man, this is definitely where it's at. And I have to, and I definitely have to feel like I owe it to you guys because, you give it to me. You guys, give me like everything that I want and a whole lot more. You give me purpose. You give me motivation. And I can't thank you enough, guys. It's incredible. As a friendly reminder, we are on a lot of social media, such as Facebook. We are on Instagram and on Twitter, now known as X. Please follow it at TKHPC Experience, all in one word. We are also on a lot of podcasting platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Let me see. We are also on YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Please like and subscribe to our podcast on all of those platforms. I really want to jump into it today because there's a lot to do, and there's not a lot of time. You would think that we would have a lot of time, but not really, And I think, honestly, the best way to handle that situation is to really get to it. So, for this, intensive purpose, it's going to be a solo episode. I will be talking about some stuff, and, let's just go right to the door. A lot of people lately, when I've seen them in person, or, I get asked the questions via email or just, personal tweets or whatever on Twitter, now known as X, or just any private messaging that people do online to contact me. A lot of questions that were asked is about my martial arts experience and background and how I got started. And I feel like I have explained this before. Like, I really feel like I think that I have explained it to some kind of extent. I don't really know if I actually have expressed it in a full-fledged episode. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to do an episode where, a part of it, we're going to explain that. We're going to go right into it. And, I just hope that this story is a story that people can understand and connect with. And if somehow this motivates people to, say, hey, maybe I should take the martial arts, and by all means, that's great. I'm in no way, shape, or form trying to tell you should go and train in the martial arts and study that. I do believe in the philosophy of every person has their own individual freedom of choice. Whether or not, like, let's say, for example, if you want to play a sport, that's cool. I'm not telling you to do that. That's a decision that you have to make. And, I'll support it for sure. Now, if you say, like, I want to play basketball, or I want to play football, or I want to play soccer, or whatever sport, lacrosse, that's okay too. I think that you have that right to go ahead and make that decision of whatever sports that you want to engage in. Or if you don't want to do sports, if you want to just do something else like acting or just working on literature and stuff like that, that's cool too. You know what I mean? So let's just jump into it. I've always had a big interest in martial arts because of television and movies. Obviously, a lot of big influences in the movie world, such as I liked Bruce Lee, and I love the Bruce Lee films and, the way that he did stuff. And even, like, in the motion picture world as well, going back to that, the Karate Kid movies from the 1980s. I always thought that was something I really resonated with. But I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, which is, Annapolis is the capital city of the state of Maryland, which is about, depending on how you ride it, probably about 30 minutes away from Washington, D.C., give or take. All you have to do is follow 50 all the way in, and then you're pretty much good to go. 50 West, I believe. And, at that time, growing up in the 1970s and 1980s, there really wasn't much of an Asian diversity over in Annapolis like there is today. And, I've had a lot of friends in my life, a lot of people that are white people, black people, very few Asians, but, I felt like I needed to be friends with Asian people just to, for the love of my diversity, for the love of my Asian brethren and sisterin, Didn't know too many Latinos, but if they were cool with me, I definitely was cool with them, for sure. And I always thought of myself as just a person that was really well liked, just because I was a real nice person, and I was very respectful. And a lot of people, when you give respect and you give that love and so forth, by nature and by law, you would think in common sense, they would give it back to you. And they would give it back to you unconditionally and without question. It's just like, damn, this dude's showing me some love. I got to show him some love, because he's not doing me wrong. He's showing me respect. He's doing things the right way. There were a couple of dudes growing up, that would always beat me up. And beat me up real bad. Now, I don't know what it was. I think it was just basically what it boiled down to was because I was different. I was an Asian kid. To them, I was just Chinese or Japanese or Korean. Which, if anybody who thinks that all that Asian people are, or Chinese, Japanese, or Korean, you're obviously mistaken. And I think that you need to learn a little bit more about the Asian world and the Asian community, because there's a lot more to it than just those three nations that build the Asian continent. There's Vietnam, there's Thailand, there's Cambodia, there's the Philippines, there's a whole bunch of stuff. India, Iran, places like that, but they don't get picked out. So one day, out of the blue, I was walking home I literally was in my neighborhood, but I was literally walking home because I think I got dropped off from the bus stop. And, these 4 dudes, these guys, these bullies, just picked on me once again and started beating me up. I ate a lot of hits, punches to the face, punches to the stomach, getting kicked on my side. When they got me down on the ground, I was trying to cover myself in a fetal position, hoping that I wouldn't get hurt. But yeah, it was rough, man. It was really rough. I think at one point somebody tried to throw a trash can at me, and it was pretty gruesome, to say the very least. Next thing you know, one of my good friends who saw the fight came down and just went down over there and was having my back, protecting me. He pushed the dudes away, and, they got upset, thinking that, this little kid is trying to do something. Now, mind you, I was probably like 7 years old at the time. You know what I mean? So you have like a 7-year-old kid, another 7-year-old kid, pushing all these kids that are like, I don't know, about 12 or 13 or something like that, right? So they go ahead and they try to beat up on my friend, saying that he made a big mistake. And all of a sudden, these guys try to punch at him, and they couldn't. Because, my friend was blocking, dodging, weaving, doing anything they needed to do to get away from, the danger zone, if you will, from harm's way. And next thing you know, he's doing all these things that, like all these, martial arts moves that, I grew up kind of seeing, because there was a time where, like, my friend and I, we would always watch, like, black belt theater or kung fu theater on the weekends on television. And he's doing, like, all these moves. And I'm just, like, thinking, what the hell is he doing? How is he doing this? This is incredible. Sure enough, he actually did exactly what he needed to do. He was like, blocking, kicking, punching in certain areas, taking dudes down, to the point where, like, he did that so much and so convincingly, and did it in a fashion that all of those 4 guys ran away. They retreated. They were like, oh, well, let's get the hell out of here. This kid is just crazy. I don't know what he's knowing. And sure enough, he helped me up, and he asked me if I was all right. And, I'm walking with them. He's like, let's get you back over to your home. Because he lived about 1 house away from me. It was like him, and then my aunt, her house, and then my house. So he's walking me down, and his dad came over. And he was like, what happened? And then, my friend's like, yo, Dad, something really happened to Kim. He got beat up again by those 4 guys. Same 4 guys. And, we need to do something because I don't like him being hurt. I hate to see him being hurt. This is not what is supposed to happen. I can't let my best friend get hurt like this. Can we do something? And sure enough, we get into my friend's car. My friend's dad's car. Well, at the time, it was a truck. It was a white Chevrolet truck. A pickup truck. So we got in, he drove us back, and he's like, wow, this is incredible. And this is the dad saying this. So he said, you know what, I'm going to need to talk to your mom. And I said, no, don't do that, And he said, no, it's okay, you're not going to be in trouble. I'm going to make sure of that. So he goes over to the house, and he knocks on the door. My mom answers the door, and she's frantic. She looks at me. She sees me all, beat up and everything, and I'm crying and so forth. And she's asking what happened. And the gentleman was like, look, you go over to the backyard with my son. You guys hang out. I'm going to go ahead and talk to your mom. And I think that conversation lasted for about maybe like an hour to an hour and a half. Because, not to say that my mom didn't, she cared for sure, but she was not really the type of person that was equipped on how to deal with those type of situations because, she never had to deal with that type of stuff. She was never a fighter, not like that. You know what I mean? And it was one of those things where she had that conversation, and she was worried, and rightfully so. You have to think of it from this perspective. You have to think, oh my gosh, my son is getting beat up. What do we do? How do we handle this? Because I don't know anything about fighting, and I don't know what to do. And my friend's dad, basically, I don't know how the conversation went, but it must have worked because there must have been something that he said to give some kind of reassurance. And then next thing you know, my dad's friend comes outside and he finds my friend and I. And he looks at me, he said, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go ahead and get cleaned up. Go ahead and get either some shorts or get some sweatpants or something and a t-shirt. Come back outside and meet me in about 5 to 10 minutes. And I said, yes, sir, no problem. Now, at that point, I thought I was getting ready to, hang out with them. I kind of thought that, initially I thought that we were going to go out and get something to eat, like ice cream at Baskin Robbins or something like that. Because, at a kid age of 7, that was kind of like, hey, we're getting ice cream so that you can feel a little bit better, and what kid didn't like ice cream? You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, we're driving in, loading up in that white Chevrolet truck, and we're driving, and we go over to this little remote shopping area, this shopping center. And I couldn't even really call it a shopping center. I guess it's like a shopping block, because shopping center, you have a lot of businesses, and in this area it must have been 6 or 7. And we get out and we look at it, and the sign says karate. And I'm looking at my friend. I'm like, wait a minute, what the heck is this? Oh, you didn't know? My dad owns this business. This is a karate school, and he's a karate teacher. And yeah, it's going to be amazing to have you here. And I said, wait a minute, you take karate? And he said, yeah, I've been taking karate for a long time. My dad's my teacher. And I asked him, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So wait a minute, what kind of rank are you? What kind of belt are you? And he said, I'm a brown belt, but I do okay. It's a good school, and I think that you'll like it. And that was the beginning. That was a sign that led me to believe that, I was going to do something that was going to carry with me for the rest of my life. And it was going to be something that I knew once I actually got in the building, it was going to be incredible, that I was going to learn this great sense of knowledge and wisdom. And I was going to learn lifelong skills that were going to be with me for the rest of my life, and that will teach me a lot of great things for the rest of my life about having, self-confidence, developing self-confidence, developing a positive attitude, learning physical things that I never thought that I would be able to do in my lifetime. And, I'm not going to go too much into it because I'm talking about right now of how I got in there. But if I didn't get in there, I don't know where I would be today. I definitely think that I would be lost for sure. And I definitely think that I wouldn't have been able to do the things that I'm doing right now. And, I know it sounds very dramatic of me saying it, but in many ways, martial arts saved my life, man. It really did. And to still be a student of that school, of that organization, is incredible. And still learning and saying that, I earned a black belt under that school, under that teacher. I never thought that I would be the person that would be able to earn such a prestigious rank. But again, that's for, another time. That's for another conversation in itself. But I'm grateful to have walked through those doors. I'm grateful for all the teachers, all the instructors that helped me along the way. And I'm grateful that I have my martial arts family who I consider my family. Because if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I would be, So I thank each and every one of you guys, especially, our teacher, our Grandmaster Amos Johnson Jr., who I got to say I have nothing but the absolute love and most love and respect for. And, I always considered him my father, you know what I mean? Because he had always said that everybody who comes in and trains with him, in the dojang or whatever, he considers all of them like his kids. And if that's the case, I'm very proud of being his child, his son, you know what I mean? So it's great. We're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a moment, take a little bit of a break, do what you need to do, guys, whether if you need to go to the restroom or take a phone call or, answer a text. But come back, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is coming back. Yes, I messed it up. Let me say it one more time, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is coming back, and it'll be coming back real hot. I want to tell you about an amazing store that's really good for all musicians, music enthusiasts, and a whole lot more, which is Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center in Wheaton, Maryland. That's right, you heard it correctly. Since 1958, Chuck Levin's has been actually tearing up the game when it comes to the music scene. And guess what? Since 1958, they have been the store to go to and a must-visit destination for any serious musician passing through our nation's capital. So, if you're actually a person that's in a band looking for a new instrument, such as an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, a bass guitar, or maybe some drums, if you're a DJ looking for like the greatest DJ equipment, such as turntables and so forth, they got you. Hey, are you actually in an orchestra playing a woodwind instrument, brass instrument, or strings? They got you. They got all the classical instruments that you need. And let's not forget, for all my fellow podcasters, need a microphone? They got you. Need a podcasting vocal track recorder? They got you. They got everything, man. And I'm telling you, it's the best place to go. So if you want to check them out, go ahead and do so, because right here at Chuck Levin's, they're the best. Forget the rest. Mess with the best. Located over at 11151 Veers Mill Road in Wheaton, Maryland. They're open Monday through Saturdays, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. If you want to know more about what they have to offer, you can go over to chucklevins.com online, or give them a buzz at area code 301-946-8808. Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center. Like I said before, don't worry about the rest. Mess with the best.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
Yo, welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I hope that you enjoyed your break as much as we did. And we're back at it again, baby. We are back at it for round 2, going into the next segment. And to keep the martial arts theme going, recently I actually had a chance to relax and have a good time with a couple of friends. We actually went over to like a nearby restaurant, and we were just having a good time. And having a great conversation, and it's great to see, my friends, that are also my family members, number one, being healthy and just training and doing their thing, and it's inspiring. But I don't know how it happened, but for the sake of saying it, I'm just going to say it like this. We were talking, and somehow the question popped up where everybody was like, hey, what were your reasons in wanting to take the martial arts? And, that definitely struck a real good, conversation. It definitely got things going, and, we were all talking about it. And somewhere in, that conversation, I thought to myself, what a wonderful idea if I could just go ahead and talk about this and present this out here to you guys. Because I know there'd probably be a lot of people out there who are interested in taking the martial arts, whether if it's you directly, or it might be somebody that like maybe, to those that are parents, maybe your children, or to those that have siblings or cousins or anything like that, like them. So what would be the reasons of actually starting the journey of being martial artists and training in, the arts that we've been doing for years and years and years? Well, with the conversation that I had with my friends who are also black belts in various styles of martial arts, we came up with some stuff. Now, I know already a lot of people are like, well, how would you know? What makes you an expert? I would say this. Each and every one of us in that circle, including myself with my friends, we are all black belts, once again, in various styles of martial arts. So that means that we have had years between us with, having a lot of experience, giving our blood, sweat, and tears and paying our dues to really earn that black belt rank. Some even like a higher level of a black belt. But for all intents and purposes, we all do have black belts. We do have our experiences in this field. Now, it wouldn't make us like the most omniscient person in the world, where we know everything and anything known to man. But in this particular situation, I would definitely say that we do have, once again, experience. And I think it's great, and I think that it's very applicable here. So we have 7 key reasons on why, people would want to go ahead and start training in the martial arts. Now, some of it will actually be obvious, and the other ones you may think, oh, wow, I didn't think it was going to be like that. Yes, indeed. Now, some people may know because they're probably martial artists themselves, or they think it's common sense, which is fine. Everybody can think any which way that they want to. There's nothing in the rule book that says you can't. But for some, this might be an education. So let's go ahead and, name some reasons. We came up with 7 of them. So the first one that we thought about, the reason why, you would want to learn martial arts, is to develop confidence. We already live in a world where, sometimes it can be really rough, and it can be very challenging. Sometimes it could be a thing where, the simple thing that we do, we don't do very well, and we lose our steam, and then we lose our way. Sometimes that we interact with certain people that, somehow they give us intimidation and second guess ourselves. Well, through martial arts practice, being a practitioner of the martial arts and training in the arts, we can actually stir that frown and make it turn upside down to a smile. And with the type of training that you would do, as soon as you start developing your way and understanding the art and maybe doing pretty good in the art, that there gives you a little bit of confidence. And it gives you one of those like nuggets in your mind. It's like, man, you know, I'm able to do this. I'm able to do that. I'm able to do a certain turn. I'm able to do a certain block. I'm able to do a certain kick. And once you start putting the pieces together, it feels good. It feels good. And you start to develop the confidence because everything that you're doing is working. And when you're achieving the little goals to get to the big goal, that already at that point is a great confidence booster. So I would definitely say confidence is one of those reasons why people would want to go ahead and study the martial arts, is to develop confidence, to get that self-confidence. The second reason is learning self-defense, because we live in a world sometimes already, once again, we live in a world where, you know, in everyday life, there could be a sense of danger every which way that you go. And when you actually face that danger, you might be in a disadvantage because you may not know anything at all in regards of how to defend yourself. So what happens if somebody actually like grabs you and just starts choking you or starts hitting on you with punches and kicks? What if somebody is trying to, you know, potentially take your life with an assistance of, like, you know, a bladed weapon or a projectile weapon? That's dangerous. Those odds, you know, especially when you don't know anything and you're not trained in the martial arts, those odds are dangerous. Learning self-defense and basic fighting concepts in order to, you know, protect yourself, it does increase your chances of survival. And with that knowledge, with that understanding, with those simple exercises that you learn, self-defense does go a long way. And the more that you learn about self-defense from the beginning level, entry level, to, like, you know, an expert level, then you start to feel a little bit more confident. You have a little bit more of understanding through the knowledge. And therefore, you start to know, okay, I can defend myself with this knowledge that I've been learning, that I've been, you know, grabbing my mind around. And it's great. You'll feel a little bit more well protected. Self-defense is key. A third reason why somebody would want to go ahead and start learning the martial arts is maybe that they want to develop some discipline. There are some people, I'm not saying all, but there might be some that feel like, you know what, in my everyday life, I have no structure. I have no drive. I have literally like zero reason of doing certain things and so forth, where I know that I should. And with that, there might be some people that may think that by benefiting of being a martial artist and starting the training process, once you start doing things on a regular basis, you're starting to develop the self-discipline. You're actually making yourself a little bit of a more better person by developing yourself into a well-oiled machine. And what is the result of developing yourself into a well-oiled machine? Is having the discipline. Having the discipline means that you're able to do things without people telling you what to do. That you know that, hey, you set your mind every day knowing that you have a task at hand, and you realize that you need to get the job done. And when you need to get the job done, you understand that I have to do this, I have to do this, and I have to do this, but I have to do it this way, and this way. That is discipline. The fourth reason why people would want to go ahead and study the martial arts is that it is a great exercise. This is one of those things where, like, you know, it benefits in terms of, like, you know, developing great physicality skills by strength, also exercise by, exercising your mind, your mentality, and also exercising in the sense of like developing, great cardio and physical strength. I know that probably sounds redundant as I actually just said that probably, but it bears meaning that, you're finding yourself to physically challenging yourself, by the ways of strength and or cardio. You're exercising your intellectual, your mind, but you're also exercising the spirit within you to be a martial artist. And, when you have all of those things into one of exercise and you do it on a regular basis, you become a little bit more healthier, For those that might have high blood pressure and so forth, you're probably going to beat hypertension and so forth if you start training on a regular basis, I wouldn't say an everyday basis, because sometimes a lot of people may not want to train every day, but find yourself like, hey, maybe I might train like 3 days a week or 4 days a week. The results will show in a very good way, and I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. Definitely something that people should really consider if health is a factor. And exercise is a great way to, maintain your health. Therefore, with, martial arts, you're doing a lot of cardio work, kicking, working on, power of developing the strength with every punch and every kick and so forth. The flexibility. Yeah, the flexibility of just trying to, be a little bit more flexible, more limber, which takes a lot of work, a lot of stretching, which is also influenced by yoga. It's incredible. It's incredible. Fifth reason why people would want to go ahead and start the martial arts journey and be a martial artist is that it's actually fun. When you actually learn something and you have a good time with it, it is fun. I know it is work, but it's also fun. When you have fun and engaging in an activity that you love to do, it makes it all worthwhile. And yes, martial arts can be fun. It can be great. Whether if it's just doing an awesome activity that is turned into a contest, or just learning new things and engaging in certain stuff, it definitely can be fun. Number 6 of why people would want to go ahead and start being martial artists and learn the martial arts is that, you develop a lot of great friendships and relationships. Obviously going into the dojo or the dojang for the first time, you're going to meet a lot of people that you don't know. And given a lot of time, a lot of, days that goes into the weeks, that goes into the months, and going to the years, you start to know people and develop a kind of great kinship and relationship. And soon enough, you guys will hit it off, become great friends to a point where you're not going to be just friends anymore. You're going to be family. I can personally attest to this because being a martial artist and training in the school that is based on tradition, I met a lot of great people and a lot of great individuals. Some where I really thought to myself, there's no way in the world that I would probably ever be friends with them, because I never interact with somebody of that type of personality. But being in the setting of the martial arts and the dojang and the dojang and training alongside of them and so forth, you get to know that person. You get to know them about their willingness to chase the pursuit of excellence, and also you get, I guess, influenced by their discipline, their self-discipline, and you get influence on the way that they approach training. And I think that's incredible, and I think it's great to have those friendships and to have those relationships. It's incredible to have individuals like those at your side at all times, and I think it's incredible. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would have a lot of good friends that are now family members from martial arts, and I hope to continue that throughout my life until I can no longer do it anymore. Last but not least, on number 7, a lot of people love the challenge of, the martial arts, and they love, a good opportunity to be a martial artist and start training in it because of the challenge, because of what you have to learn, because of the knowledge behind it, because of the certain exercises that are required of you that you may not have done ever in life. And it's incredible. A lot of people, you have to understand, guys, that it's not a thing where it's easy and it's given to you. You have to learn it. There is a challenge, and it is something that you have to overcome. If it was that easy, it would just be the way, which is not the case. It's a journey. It's a process. It's a challenge. And you know what? A lot of people love challenges. They love to, put themselves in the position and say, hey, can I figure this out? Can I do this? How would I fare well? I love a challenge. I would never quit on a challenge. This is something that I would love to do. Let's run it. You know what I mean? Let's run it. And at that point, I just feel like, man, that's incredible. You like challenges. You like it in this way. Let's go for it. You know what I mean? So those are like the reasons why people would want to go ahead and they would like to become a martial artist. Now, again, this is something based on opinion, but it's also based on, real life that we know for a fact. And once again, it's one of those things that we have had experience in this area. So we feel pretty confident when it comes to, our answers that we give out. Mind you, though, there are going to be some answers out here for, wanting to be a martial artist, answers that we didn't give. And if it's something that you came up for yourself, we don't disqualify that your reasons are your reasons. But the only thing that I can say from my standpoint is that if you want to be a martial artist and you want to go down that path, go jump in the rabbit hole and see what it's all about. We love you. We embrace you. And, if that's what you want to do, best of luck to you. And, peace be the journey. That said, we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break. When we come back, the greatest segment that we know, yes, the Q&A sessions, the Q&A forum. 7 questions. You ask those questions and we will answer it, and we will do our best. So go ahead and take a break. Do what you have to do. Answer that phone call, answer the text, or get something to eat, or go to the restroom. But come back, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience will be in full force. We can't wait. And you know what? We're already fired up and ready to go, because we're cooking, baby, and it's red hot. In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, Tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
Yo, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are once again, and this is the point of the show where we are almost reaching to the end of the road, as they say. You know, we're about to cross the finish line. You know what time it is. But before we actually get into what is what, I got a disclaimer to read, as always, and it says it's the followings. All right. So, dun, 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 dun. The Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is asking for assistance on a voluntary basis to anyone that would like to assist our podcast show by the ways of sponsorship and or financially donating to the podcast show to help improve the quality of our podcast. All the money that we raise will go towards getting more equipment and better equipment that we need for our podcast, such as microphones for in-studio guests, the XLR cables that are needed for those microphones, extra headphones for our microphone guests, and even a MacBook Pro, which will actually help to edit future episodes of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, and a whole lot more. Whatever that you can donate, it's appreciated. So here's the inserted joke. If you want to donate $5 million, which I don't think anybody would be able to do that, but you never know, feel free, and we would definitely be appreciative of that. To even as little as $5, every little bit helps, and we would appreciate that. And you can make that donation to the following methods. I mean, you can donate via PayPal, Venmo, and or Cash App. Now, if you decide to do it through PayPal and or Venmo, just go ahead and look me up under my tag name and donate right over there, which is at Kim Hoang MD Actor. Once again, that is at KIMHOANG. Cash App, look me up under my tag name, $ Kim Hoang MD Actor. Once again, it's $ KIMHOANG. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment that we've been waiting for, the Q&A forum. That's right, question and answers. Normally, we have 7 questions, but we have 7 questions and a bonus question. So, grand total of 8 questions are going to be asked over this way. You ask those questions, and I'll answer it, and I'll do the best that I can. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's rock and roll. I'm excited. Question number 1. Kim, recently the NBA playoffs have started, and in the Western Conference, the LA Lakers that was seeded at number 3 were eliminated by the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were seeded at number 6. What were your reactions when you found out about that? Jake from Tempe, Arizona. Jake, I definitely got to tell you, man, I was really shocked about this one because I didn't see it happening. I thought that the LA Lakers were going to do very well in the playoffs, in the Western Conference. I definitely had them going over at least to the semifinals. If not that, then at the very most, I would have gave them a finals opportunity. I don't think they would have made it to the actual championship game, between, let's say, them and the Boston Celtics. But I had them, going a little bit further than the opening round. it definitely asks a lot of questions about what's going on there, especially with LeBron James getting older, Luka Doncic, which, he's a talented basketball player, but a lot of people ask him, a lot about him in terms of, his endurance and his stamina, and just the way that he approaches preparation in the game of basketball and a few others. So I don't really know what's going to happen from this point, but I was shocked, very shocked. Question number 2, Kim, what is your philosophy in tattooing when it comes to deciding on what kind of tattoo that you want to get for yourself and for other people? Claire from Seattle, Washington. I'm going to try to answer it like this, Claire. You know what I mean? And I hope I don't offend anybody with this, but I have to keep it real. I have to keep it 100. Otherwise, there's no other way for me to be, totally honest with the public. When it comes to tattooing and deciding on what you want to get, the cardinal rule that I follow is make sure that whatever it is that you want to get tattoo-wise, that you're willing to live with it for the rest of your life. And not to say, not saying getting a tattoo and then later on in life, you either cover it up because it's not a great tattoo, in the long run, and you thought it was good then, but it isn't now, or getting laser surgery, which requires a lot of money for a lot of sessions to even remove it via laser, and or doing, which is the biggest craze in my opinion as of late, of doing a blackout tattoo, which is, you make a mistake on a tattoo, you don't like it anymore, you're going to tattoo the whole section of your body in complete black ink, all for the fact that you made a mistake on picking something that meant a lot to you at the time, but in the long run was a complete failure. So, pick something that you're passionate about. For me, I like, Japanese, Asian inspired tattoos. I like it because it's a part of my Asian culture and identity. I've always liked that. And everything that is related to like the Asian culture, Japanese culture, and that type of art, I stick with it because that's my passion. So pick something that is very reasonable, that that you can handle for the rest of your life, that you will have zero regrets. Question number 3. Kim, in episode 14, there was a question about not surrounding yourself with negative people, whether they are your family or your friends. Can you go into more specific detail where you can talk about possibly not talking to any body anymore, and give us your thoughts? Wilbur from Little Rock, Arkansas. Good question, Wilbur. Ladies and gentlemen, about an episode ago of this season, there was a question about, what Wilbur was asking about not surrounding yourself with negative people, whether if they are family or friends. And I basically had said, in short, that it's okay to not surround yourself with them if they are bringing a lot of, negative energy towards you, and if they're really affecting you, especially with your mental health. And you have every right to separate yourself from that pack if that's the situation. Now you're asking, Wilbur, as in addition to, is it okay to not talk to them anymore? And I will say this: you have a right to do that. And if that's something that makes you feel comfortable, and it's a thing where you're not trying to deal with any more stress or anxiety or things that bring you down, and it's like so much pressure in the pressure cooker that's about to explode, and you want to just get out of there by just in the sense of not even talking to them, you have every right to do that. And at that point, if they keep wondering why you're not talking to them, that's a thing where it's like, yeah, they're going to have to figure that out. And if they don't figure it out, that's unfortunate, because they should know at that point, hey, I must have did something wrong. Now, if they decide to, maybe want to talk to you about it, I would say be open to it. But if that conversation happens and you just don't feel comfortable with it, and you see it going, downhill very quick, feel free to hit the eject button and get out of there and continue on with your silence of not talking to them. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's all about you. It's all about your mental health. It's about your well-being. It's about, you feeling better about yourself. And you, so you have to do what's best for you. So if that's the way to go, to give them the silent treatment until further notice, that's what you got to do. I'm not mad at it. I think it's cool. And I support you either way. And I just want to let you know, bro, that I'm with you 100%. Question number 4. Excuse me. 1 second, guys. All right. Sorry about that. Question number 4. Yeah. Okay. Kim, do you like the standard size punching bags or one of those longer but banana-sized bags used for Muay Thai training? Jessica from Pontiac, Michigan. Oh, wow. Okay. They call it a banana bag. Okay. I can get that. I've trained with both. I started out training with the standard bag, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, especially in a martial arts sense, where you have to basically kick a certain height in order to, effectively, work on your height of kicking, as well as just doing punching. I just like the banana-sized punching bag that Muay Thai fighters train with, because it's 6 feet tall. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, in terms of height. And not only can you strike high, but you can also strike low. And I think it gives a little bit more of flexibility for striking and a little less margin for error. Now, a lot of people have a lot of reservations because the banana bag is about 6 feet. They do weigh about 150 pounds, where I believe that the standard bag is basically 2/3 the size of the banana bag and weighs about, on an average, I think it weighs about 60 pounds. So at that point, you have to really decide what would work better for you in terms of space and so forth, and in terms of where you can hang it and so forth. Because if you don't have any room inside of a house or an apartment to hang a banana bag that's 6 feet and it weighing 150 pounds and swerving back and forth, that might be a little bit of an issue. I mean, I could see, if you had a home that had a lot of, space in the backyard, and that you had a place where you can actually hang it, that's great. And even trying to hang it, I wouldn't recommend hanging that alone by yourself, knowing it's a bag that weighs 150 and it's about 6 foot, and you got to get the chain, somewhere, you know what I mean? So it's really up to you about what you want to do. So that's that. Question number 5. Kim, do you like movies of today's generation or the movies of yesterday in the previous generation? Rick from Davenport, Iowa. Rick, I got to tell you, man, I'm a little bit torn about this one, because to me, it's really split. It's 50-50. I do like today's generation of movies and movie making, because I like the presentation and the visual of it. However, it's predecessors of the movies of yesterday from, the previous generation to back in the day. I feel like when they made movies, they just knew how to write the script, and the plot made much more sense, and it was really rustic, and it was amazing. And when you take one of each on the justice scale, once again, it's literally dead even, 50-50. Not to say that one would beat the other, but I feel like one definitely complements the other. So I don't think that there's literally a win-win here. It's just, it is what it is. Question number 6. Kim, I had heard that in the Washington, D.C. area that there was news that the Six Flags theme park is actually going to be closing their location there in the Washington, D.C. area. What do you feel about that? How are you feeling about that? Lexi from Naperville, Illinois. Correct. There was news all over on social media and on the internet that, Six Flags in the Washington, D.C. area, this will be the last year. And that on November the 2nd, it's going to be closing its doors for good. The word is that they will actually tear down the amusement park and make it either into a parking lot or just, a place for more housing in that area. When I first heard about it, I was a little bit surprised, that was going to happen, because on an annual basis, Six Flags over near the DC area did bring some good revenue, in my opinion. And everybody who was anyone definitely was looking forward to that Six Flags moment, you know what I mean? And it was really, really cool. I thought, to me, that it would have still stayed around for a very long time. And I took it to heart because, I grew up in, the Washington, D.C. area. And I remember that because when I first went there, it used to be called Wild World. And then later on, I believe it was called Great Adventure. And then Six Flags, they bought it over. And that was that. It's definitely still hitting me hard because I've had a lot of good memories there. A lot of good memories, a lot of fun. And I don't know what to say other than the fact that, I'm definitely going to miss it for sure. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, a lot of people say that it's going to be like housing for that area, or they're going to make a parking lot or whatever. Things aren't really set in stone yet. But whatever it is, Six Flags is going to be gone. I'm going to miss it. And that's the bottom line. Question number 7. Kim, do you believe in karma? Manuel from San Diego, California. And Manuel, yes. I normally don't bring in religion as a part of my podcast, as many people know, because that's just that's a recipe of disaster. That and politics. I would never in a million years talk about that. But to believe that if karma is there and it exists, I think so. Every organized religion has a thing where it's like, they have their set of rules, and it teaches people to be good people, right? It teaches people to be very good to one another, and to love one another, and to respect one another. And with karma, it's like, if you do good things in life, you'll be rewarded for it, and good things will come your way. But, however, if you do things that you're not supposed to do, like if you are mean to people when you really shouldn't, if you insult people, if you're hateful to people, you're going to get it in the afterlife, or you're going to get it in the life that you are now, but you'll get penalized in a way that you may not understand it, or you may not notice it until it really happens. So that's why I always say, be nice to people, be lovable, be loving and respectful, do the right things in life, and, just be a good person, be that good dude. And, you wouldn't have to worry about the penalties. You'll be too much concerned about, I got so much reward coming my way. What am I going to do with it? So that's that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the bonus question. Dun, 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 dun. Question number 8. And it states, do you miss working the promo and marketing industry? Donatella from Brooklyn, New York. Donatella, yes, I do. I miss it a lot because when you work an event, you actually get paid a lot per hour, more than the average person. On average, you can get paid as much as $20 to $25 an hour, representing either like a technology brand like Nintendo or a beverage company like Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola, or representing like a snack company or whatever, you know what I mean? And you're out there interacting with people, having a good time, interacting with the event, etc., etc. And it's cool. Especially like if you actually have an opportunity to be an assistant tour manager or a tour manager traveling around the United States of America, working hard for about a minimal of, I think, 3 or 4 months or something like that, getting paid really well, compensated really well, getting per diems for your meals and traveling expenses like hotels and such like that. And yeah, I do miss it a lot because it was a good time in my life. It was fun. And I can say this, if somebody was to give me an offer and say, hey, would you want to do it? You bet your sweet behind I would, without question, But until that happens, I'm just going to be focused on what I do on a regular basis. And I'm just going to appreciate what I have right now. So that's it. Q&A session's done, baby. We are in, we definitely threw it in the can, another one in the books. So let's go ahead and close it up. Guys, you can find us on any social media outlet, including Facebook. Just go under the search box and type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. You can find us there. Like us, follow us, subscribe to us. It'll be cool. Same thing with Twitter and on Instagram, aka Twitter is now known as X. You can find us under our tag name at TKHPC Experience. Once again, that's at TKHPCEXPERIENCE. Follow us and we'll follow you back. We are on a lot of podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Now, do us a favor. Number 1, please like and subscribe to our podcast on all of those mentioned podcasting platforms. Number 2, please give us a great review. If you are a member of Spotify, leave us a 5-star ranking. We would appreciate that. Same thing for Apple Podcasts. If you are a member of that and you listen to our podcast through that platform, give us a 5-star ranking and a positive written review, because the more times that you do that, then the bigger the chance and opportunity that our podcast will be thrown out to the front lines and somebody will notice it right then and there. And there might be a person that might be saying something like, hey, it's the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I understand this. I know about it. I heard this from Mary. Maybe we should like it, follow it, and subscribe to it. To that, I say yes to all 3. And also do us a final solid by promoting this. Share this with all your friends on social media, like the Facebook, like the Twitter, now known as X, or the Instagram, the Snapchat, the TikTok, all of that. And also share with it in person with people that you know, family, friends, and coworkers, because it's a form of brand awareness, and sharing is caring, and we definitely appreciate that. Last but not least, guys, if you want to be a special guest on our show or a special guest host, if you have any questions for our Q&A segment here when I do my solo episodes, and or if you have any constructive criticisms, please email me at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, put it under the subject box, and then in the body of the email, write out whatever you want to write out. Send it out. Once you send out that email, I'll probably get it right then and there instantly, and I'll respond back within a day or two, because I do like that type of, communication and correspondence. But that's it, guys. That is everything. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been incredible. I really do appreciate your time, your effort, your love, and your support. Please be safe out there, guys, because it doesn't do us any good if you guys do anything that would be an endangerment to yourself, and that would actually cause you dismemberment and put you in a pine box and get buried 6 feet under, because we don't want that to happen. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to be living life, because you deserve that. And anybody else that tells you that you don't deserve that, you don't deserve positivity, and you don't deserve good things coming your way, tell them to go kiss off, because, you have zero time for their negative energy. You have a lot of time for positive energy and making stuff happen. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, guys. I really appreciate the love and support. Just keep it coming. Because as long as you love what we do, and as long as you want me to still do this, I will do it until the wheels fall off and I physically can't anymore. So, that being said, for the one time here over at the Prototype Studios in Wheaton, Maryland, not far from the Washington, D.C. area. This is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, saying thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm the host with the most, the man with the plan, the guy that can bring the power less than an hour, and the guy that's wanting to do this for you guys, because like I always said, this is your podcast, not just my podcast. It's your podcast as well. Thank you guys so much for your love and support. I definitely do appreciate it. We're going to do it again real soon, and keep on supporting us like you always do, because you guys are the motivation, and we love y'all. Y'all take care, be cool, and we are out 5,000. Talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.